Have you ever been in a situation where your emotions got the best of you? Maybe you lost your temper and said something you regretted. Or perhaps you felt overwhelmed with anxiety and couldn't focus on anything else. We've all been there. But what if I told you that there was a way to master your emotions, to gain control over them, and use them to live a more fulfilling life? This book aims to do exactly that. In this video, you'll learn actionable steps to achieve emotional mastery and improve your emotional well-being. But it's not just a dry self-help book. It's a guide that takes you on a journey of self-discovery, helping you to understand the nature of your emotions and how to use them to your advantage. So let's dive into the world of emotions and see what we can learn. Lesson number 1. Pay attention to how you feel throughout your day and try to understand why you are feeling the way you are feeling. How do you feel right now? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you confused? Are you feeling burned out? Are you feeling anxious about something? Regardless of how you are feeling, try to pay attention to your emotions right now. You are feeling the way you are feeling due to your emotions. Understanding your emotions is the key. Most people don't understand their emotions. Their bodies are not aligned with their feelings and emotions. As a result, they keep struggling with their mental issues. The worst part? We are never taught how to manage our emotions. We often rely on other people and things to feel better, which is not the best method in our opinion. Many people experience emotions without understanding the reasons behind them. But don't worry, today you will master this concept. The author talks about how the word feeling is overused by us, and still many of us don't know how to regulate our emotions. The reason understanding our emotions is so important is that if we don't feel right, we find it difficult to give our 100%. And then we have to rely on discipline, which demands willpower. Let's be honest, none of us wants to feel miserable, right? If you are feeling miserable in your life, you need to make a change. The best part? You don't have to make significant changes. Start by making small changes. Do not ignore your negative emotions. Instead, take action to address them. No one wants to live a low-quality life. In fact, feeling miserable and stressed for a prolonged period of time can even lead to physical health problems. In short, to achieve a high-quality life, you must know emotion management. That's something you just can't ignore. Let's explore this topic further in the upcoming lessons. Lesson number 2. To understand your emotions, you must first understand your ego. Let's clarify something. Ego is not equal to arrogance. When discussing the human mind, the term ego has a distinct meaning. You may be surprised to know this, but all your emotions and thoughts are controlled by your ego. What is ego, you may ask? To understand it, you will have to answer, who am I? Well, you have a name, right? You have a gender, you have a nationality, you have certain beliefs and a worldview. Your ego is formed by everything associated with your identity. In other words, your ego is your identity. You are your ego. We all have our selfish egos. Our ego helps us survive. It's a survival mechanism built by nature. As we all have different identities based on the stories we have been telling ourselves since our birth, our egos have developed differently. The interesting part is, although our egos have developed differently, the underlying nature of the ego is fundamentally the same. For example, the ego is never satisfied. You will never find a human being who is 100% satisfied with his life. No matter how much success you have achieved, you are always left wanting for more. Another example is, ego likes to compare itself with others, and thinks that by having more than others, it'll become satisfied. Yes, sometimes it does get satisfied by having more of something, but that only happens temporarily. Although comparison is important to compete and survive in this rapidly changing world, we have become obsessed with winning and wanting more, thanks to our egos. Almost every content you consume these days eventually feeds your ego and makes it stronger. And ego is selfish, remember. If everybody is selfish, we can't build a world where everybody is peaceful. The world needs more people with less ego. Understanding ego is not just necessary for our emotions. It's also crucial if we want to live in a better world. Since our egos form our identity, as soon as it's challenged, as soon as a person's worldview is shattered, they become defensive. Unfortunately, it's difficult to help someone without challenging them. That's a classic example of what happens when you don't understand your ego. Without understanding its properties, you will never be able to achieve harmony in your thoughts and emotions. You will always live in doubt and fear. You will always be operating with a scarcity mindset. You will always be chasing happiness and hoping it will give you what you truly want. You should try to become egoless if you want to experience true joy in life. The best way to let go of your ego is to understand it. The fading process will not happen instantly. It is a slow process. Now that you have gained some understanding about your ego, let's shift our focus back to our emotions and try to comprehend how they function. Lesson number 3. Your emotions don't define you. It's your outlook on them that does. If you believe that your entire being is defined just by your emotions, you have made a mistake. Just think about it. Maybe today you are feeling good. And if you consider the nature of life itself, it keeps throwing lemons all the time. So chances are you might not feel good tomorrow. Or vice versa. No emotion is permanent. However, your desire to have positive emotions is. For simplicity, let's just say that there are 2 types of emotions, positive and negative. Your ability to handle negative emotions actually makes you mentally strong. However, when we feel negative emotions, we think the opposite. Every thought tells us that there is no hope, that those negative emotions will stay there for a long time. Doesn't it happen? But the truth is, even if you have faced the worst breakup of your life, you'll overcome it. It's your interpretation of events that is making you feel miserable. You are that same person you were before negative emotions appeared in your mind. You are the one giving them attention. They are just emotions. If you assign stories to them, if you give them significance, they will gain power. And if you don't take them seriously, laugh them off, they will, eventually, fade away. So, anytime you feel negative emotions, just laugh and say, "It's temporary. I'm stronger than this." Here's a bonus tip. It's not only negative emotions that fool us. Our positive emotions fool us too. Enjoy your positive emotions while they are in your mind, but stay detached. Detaching yourself from your emotions is key to solving half of your emotional problems. You can even practice this concept right now. Do this exercise right now. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Try to relax and observe your emotions, then say to yourself, whatever emotions I'm feeling, they are temporary, whether they are positive or negative. Unless you have experienced trauma, it is likely that your emotional state will eventually change within a few hours or days, depending on various factors. This is why the author says that dwelling on the same thoughts and feelings is pointless. When facing negative emotions, try to avoid creating too many stories in your mind. Doing so only gives them power and tricks your mind into believing that you are dealing with something serious. Okay, so now that we have discussed the nature of emotions, let's try to understand what factors can impact our emotions. Lesson number 4. Watch out for the main factors that affect our emotions. We cannot always control our emotions, and often there is a limit to how much we can do so. But there are certain factors that we know impact our emotions. And the good news is, you can change them to keep yourself emotionally healthy. Let's see what those factors are. Okay, so there are mainly 3 factors: your body, your thoughts, and your environment. If your body isn't healthy, your mind won't be healthy either. Never put junk food in your body, your entire system will take a toll. A healthy mind can only exist in a healthy body. We all understand this, but often forget it out of laziness. So, stop being lazy. Do work out at least 4 to 5 times a week. Physical activity helps you bump up the product of endorphins. These are feel-good neurotransmitters. Adding a workout to your daily routine can also lower your stress levels. No person has ever felt bad after adding a workout to their daily routine. Don't forget to take a good amount of sleep. Many people these days deprive themselves of quality sleep by scrolling through social media late at night. However, this is bad for our health. Another factor to consider is our thoughts. The conversation you have with yourself affects how you feel. If you believe that you are a loser, you will feel like one. If you believe that you are a warrior who can overcome the harsh phases of life, your emotions will align accordingly. The third factor is the environment. Surround yourself with high-value people. When we say high value, it doesn't necessarily mean surrounding yourself with wealthy individuals who constantly chase money. Try to surround yourself with wise people who understand what's truly important in life. Usually, you'll find that wise people also have enough money. In other words, try to be around people who have a purpose and know what they are doing. It is also important to consider your physical environment. Our minds associate spacious and clean environments with positivity. Try not to sit in a room all day. Get sunlight and try to stay close to nature. You'll feel good. Another point to consider is that in today's society, most of us are constantly consuming content. Unfortunately, many people consume the wrong content and destroy their mental well-being unconsciously. Avoid consuming content that overstimulates your mind by exciting your senses all the time. It is important to pay attention to the creators you are listening to. The saying goes, you are what you eat, but it also applies to other aspects of life. In this case, you become what you consume. If you are listening to a creator who is always giving terrible life advice just to get views, you are technically preparing for disaster. Think of yourself as a seed. Given the right environment, you can grow into a big tree and bear fruit. Lesson number 5. Your mind can create delusional threats that can scare the living daylights out of you. Of all the emotions, fear is one of the most complicated ones. Fear played a crucial role in the survival of our ancestors. Thanks to our fear, we are able to breathe today. But when it gets out of control, it can cause all sorts of problems. We all know how fear can prevent us from doing good things in life, don't we? But did you know that fear can be both real and imaginary? Real fears are real. If you don't act, your survival may be in danger. While on the flip side, imaginary fears don't really exist. They only exist in our minds. In the stories of our minds. Ever noticed how we tend to get butterflies before stepping on the stage while addressing a large crowd? That's an imaginary fear. Because if you have prepared well, nothing bad is going to happen. Your survival is not in danger, but your mind will imagine all kinds of bad scenarios. The question is, how to deal with fear practically? There are 2 ways that can help. First method is to question our logical interpretation, and the second method is to use affirmations. In the first method, you can reduce your fear by simply looking at your interpretation of the events. Try to see if the story you are telling yourself is real or not. Usually, it's not, and you are often misinterpreting the reality in your head. Don't force anything here, just observe the reality. The second method is a bit forceful, but it may work for many people as it's simple to apply. Just say positive things like, I got this, or I can do it, to yourself a few times. Nonetheless, it is worth applying the first method, even though it may be more difficult. Lesson number 6. Repression of your emotions isn't always the best thing to do. When people don't understand their emotions, they try to suppress the negative ones and hope that the best ones always remain. People often repress emotions like frustration, anger, sadness, fear, etc. And they want more of emotions like love, happiness, joy, etc. And if you have been paying attention, you already know that expecting certain types of emotions to stay all the time is not very practical. Emotions are like weather. Your emotional state is changing all the time. Repression is a short-term strategy. It only relieves for a limited time. If you repress your emotions once or twice, it's no big deal. For instance, you may repress your anger towards your arrogant boss. But if you are doing it regularly, you'll never feel at ease. You'll always feel out of touch with your emotions. For our emotional well-being, we must make sure that we process all of our emotions. So many people keep repressing their emotions for years. And, for this reason, their personality develops abnormally. Many of us are unaware of how unprocessed thoughts and emotions can enter our subconscious minds and drive our actions. While emotions are temporary, it is crucial that you do not leave them unaddressed. The key here is to understand and identify your emotions. You can't let them go if you don't understand them. And remember, stay detached while you do all this. Without detachment, you'll never be truly at ease with your emotions. And now it's your turn. If you want to develop the best mindset in the world, consider subscribing to this channel. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you never miss any videos. See you next time. Thanks for watching.